And we're live. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Power Hour podcast. I was just joking with Sarah because it has been a very long time since I've done this, so going to be a bit rusty. But just want to say a huge thank you for tuning in, Sarah. Huge thank you for coming on. Of course, we have a lot to discuss today. And for those of you who don't know and didn't tune into the last podcast I did with Sarah, we actually met in the Power Platform community in a funny way. I was actually a student in university, I was just on LinkedIn, and I think I approached Sarah or sent her a message or something, and she was willing and open to have a call with me. And honestly, long story short, that call is what kind of set me off on the trajectory of building my career in the Power Platform space and really gave me the validation that this was the career for me. So I'm so glad that, Sarah, we can package this up for people so then they can come up and hopefully have the similar trajectory that I did, because I reaped a lot of success in my career. And honestly, I have a huge appreciation for the work that you do now. So I really want to hear about obviously what you've been up to in the new year, and then also kind of how you got started, because you made a pivot, didn't you, from recruiting into coaching now. So it'd be really interesting to hear about why you did that and how that's been looking for you.
Yeah, it's been interesting actually. So I worked in recruitment. Most people would know me as a recruiter in the Power Platform space. I did recruitment for 20 years-ish. I've been saying that for a while now. I don't want to look back and confirm exactly how many in case it's more. But I got involved in tech recruitment about 8 years ago and sort of started working with a customer doing dynamics recruitment, and I found the Power Platform community around lockdown time. Um, and I really enjoyed being a part of that. It was really finding my tribe, which I hadn't really found in recruitment businesses. And um, I just I've been doing it a long time. I find the more and more people that get in touch with me, I have their green banner on for open to work on LinkedIn, or they're asking for advice. And there's only so much time that I had to do that in my spare time or in work time. So yeah, I decided to go freelance. I've done some recruitment, but the thing I really like doing is the coaching, helping people with no influence on what my advice is. There's no job that I'm trying to place these people into. It's purely independent advice based on my experience and my understanding of the Microsoft partner landscape, end user landscape as well. So
Yeah, no,
it's been really nice.
that's
Really enjoyed it. I come away energized. I always run over time on those calls because it's something I'm really enjoying it. Uh, so it's going well. It's steadily growing. It's kind of smaller chunks, whereas recruitment would be like a big client where you're then working on numerous roles with them, and it's bigger fit. This is small, so it leans nicely into the community engagement side of things.
yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's super valuable, right? Because often a lot of people I speak to in the space speak to me about technical skills. And whilst that's important, and it's a bit of a controversial opinion, I think it's 20% of the solution of success when you're talking about growth in this space. And it's funny because we are in the technical space, but it is amazing how many people are let down by their mindsets, imposter syndrome, not feeling validated. So I'm really curious to hear, through your coaching, through your experiences, what are the key skills that people are missing that maybe not be technical, but it's really holding them back?
I think we're in a really interesting time where tech is changing. Had a call with a very experienced person in our space earlier today who's kind of exhausted by the amount of changes that we're seeing. How do you keep up with all of this? So it's important to keep on the wire with the technologies, how they're changing, listen to what other people are saying. But the I think the process of moving roles or trying to level up your career needs to be sort of slow. Like it needs to be an unpanicked process. And I think that that's what I don't see is people taking a step back, slowing it down, looking at the profile, their CV, understanding how recruiters work, whether it's them headhunting you or them going over your application, really taking the time to understand that aspect of things and what skills do I need for next year or 2 years or 5 years time, and what should I be building on now? And honestly, I think it's going to be personal skills, communication skills, that people really need to keep an eye on, as well as the tech side of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often find that, I speak for myself, but as someone who really likes technology, sometimes we can be a little bit awkward, and that's okay, right? We're not all extroverts. Sometimes a lot of us are introverted, and we don't have that kind of need to have a lot of personal and exposure, I should say. So I think it's so important to level up those skills when you can. Honestly, it's a huge reason why I started the podcast, just speaking to more people, getting more of this. We can lock ourselves in our room, which I think is making us even worse with remote working, in hitting this. So I'm super excited, and we'll speak more about it later in the episode. But we've got the Employment Edge, which should have dropped now. So the link is in the top of the description, where it's effectively, you see that story I told everyone at the beginning of the episode. We've packaged that up. Sarah has so nicely packaged that up into a program for you. We've intentionally made it low ticket and affordable so it can get you started in your career, and hopefully when you are in those high positions, you come back to us and we can help you even more. So take a link in the take a look at the first link in the description for that information, and yeah, we'll speak more about it at the end as well. But um career switches, Sarah, I think are so interesting in our space because we are in low code, right? And I think it's even more interesting to people because we've got Copilot Studio under our umbrella, under the Power Platform space, which is obviously Microsoft's agentic low code tool, which is having tons and tons of investment into it. So, what advice do you have for people switching careers who might not traditionally be from a Copilot, I say Copilot, but from a Power Platform background, who want to come into this space? What would you say to those people, and what do they need to do to break into the space?
That's a big question, and there's a lot of answers to that. But I would say if you're working in an end user role currently and not having access to Power Platform or Copilot, whatever it is you're looking for, um, find the things that you want to fix within your current job. And you'll hear a lot of people say that, a lot of sessions, go out there and solve problems using the technology you've got. Most people have got some sort of Power Platform license or some sort of AI now that they've got access to. So go and fix things in the role that you're in, look for opportunities, look for the business value in fixing that problem as well, not just hobbyist, but what problem are you solving for your business? How many hours are you saving? Or it's like proving compliance. What's the benefit of you making these changes, and keep a log of that. It's the best way to demonstrate understanding if you get to an interview situation, or you start them easing into community and telling your story, which I think for a career switcher is a good thing to do. There's plenty of platforms. Everybody's open to new speakers at the moment. Some platforms will offer speaker support for new speakers as well, to mentor them through, and keep a log, understand what it is you're doing. I think the other thing to do is really look at the core skills you've got. We were just talking about techies kind of being introverted, and you don't have to be extroverted, but you do have to listen. So understand, am I listening? What problems am I hearing around my business? Could that be the same somewhere else? Am I particularly good at translating technical descriptions into non-technical stakeholders? Where's your skill set is what I'm saying. It might be any of those soft skills that you can then marry up with some technical skills, to use in Power Platform. Using the technology you've got internally is the easiest way to get experience with hands-on stuff. What I'm saying is you can go out and build something that you can then
Mm,
demonstrate. So instead of, well, I can't do it in my day job, there are tools and exercises that you can do at home to create a kind of repository that you can then go and show other people at interview stage. Whereas you don't have a work example, it gives you that work example that you
yeah,
otherwise have. Uh,
yeah,
so that's for the people that don't have access to the tech in their current.
yeah. And it's so important, right? Having a portfolio, having something to look back on. And something I really like that you've suggested to me and others as well in the coaching calls is for them to actually share their screen in interviews. Could you tell me a little bit more about that technique and why you've seen it work for the people you've been coaching?
Yeah, and this is something that I picked up on years ago, and I sort of forgot about it for a bit actually. But it was around the start of my Power Platform journey as a recruiter. Um, there was one guy, very very good Power Platform solution architect actually, who pulled up some code that their CV wasn't very good, but when you got
Yeah,
talking to this person, they were absolutely brilliant. And in an interview, just do you know what? Can I just show you? And that instant, I mean, charismatic person anyway, I have to say, but then starts talking through, this is what I did, this is why I did it, this is the problem that I met along the way. And if you speak to anybody, or most people, okay, there might be some exceptions, but generally speaking, if you're talking about something you've built, something you've done, your energy will lift, your passion will come through, the way that you are to work with will be on show. And I can't see how it would not be a positive thing. Can you see how that would bring your energy out by talking about something that you've achieved and
for
showing
sure.
it off?
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely. And it
right.
differentiates you, right? If you think about the amount of people they're interviewing at the time, like, oh, I remember that guy because he shared a screen and actually showed me something. And it kind of just takes you away from the herd, I guess. And, effectively, you want to be the black sheep in some cases, right? You want to be the person that's made the change in that interviewer's mind. And I think it's so, so important. Um, I mean, when it comes to Power Platform professionals, as employees, as people trying to do their own thing and trying to make success in their careers, we can often make mistakes. So, what's kind of a mistake that you're seeing day in, day out that people should not be doing and maybe they should be doing something else instead?
From a job seeker point of view,
I would say a job seeker point of view from the people you've coached and, even if it's a mindset thing, right? I know imposter syndrome is something that's huge for people, which really keeps them down. So what have you seen in terms of a pattern of kind of a mistake someone's making, even in their own mind?
yeah. And I've tried to kind of summarize this in the course content. There's no fluff
Right.
around it. It's quite to the point about these things. But people often focus on their CV. Is my CV okay? Their LinkedIn often isn't as detailed, which is interesting because we're in a world where people check you out online, don't they? If they're looking at your name, whether it's on your CV or a referral or a recommendation, let's have a look at the LinkedIn, especially in a community like Power Platform, where people are posting a lot, commenting a lot. Even if you're not putting your own posts out there, if you're liking and commenting things, people can see that. Um, SEO is a thing. We use search words. Recruiters are, they might be experienced like me in this space, but they might not be. They might be generalist or junior. They might just be an AI that's scraping for keywords. So that's something that people seem surprised by regularly. That's probably the most common thing, and that's really surprised me that people don't think about that aspect. So, from being findable perspective, and even if you're applying for jobs, you, if you look at the jobs you're looking at applying for on LinkedIn, there's probably 300, 400 applications already. People aren't going through those individually. They'll be searching for the relevant candidates, or even some of the tools now will give you the list of candidates that match your skills that you've got in your job ad. So you might not even go through the application pile. Honestly speaking, when there's 500 to get through and you've got a tool that's telling you these are the ones you want to look at, they're the ones you're going to go and look at. So make sure those words that are in the job description that you're applying for are on your LinkedIn profile and
Yeah.
CV.
Yeah, and it's those kinds of insights and we'll speak a little bit into why we built the program, but it's those kinds of insights which generally made me want to build the program that we have now, which is the Employment Edge. Um, it's because you come with that. so much knowledge of the recruitment space. Like your job is literally to understand how to get people employed into companies. So you're effectively the middleman between the organization and the person trying to get into the organization. So you have that insight from both perspectives, the mistakes that that person makes, and then also the insights that the company have in terms of wanting that person into the company. So you know what these businesses are looking for. Um, and honestly, I think it's going to be packed with value.
I would
And
say
then
that,
give
that's
yeah,
probably the biggest learning curve that I have had. The way I've understood the tech stack is less so from community talks, conferences and events and things like that. I understand it at a high level. I tend to go to adoption sessions and things that speak a bit more of my language, but actually taking feedback from Microsoft partners following an interview or a CV that I've submitted, that detailed feedback is what's got me to where I am from a knowledge point of view. And that's the raw feedback. They're not holding back with me because there's no emotion in it, particularly. It's, it's okay, we'll tell Sarah. Sarah will make it more constructive and pass it on to the candidate. So being that middleman it gives me just that raw understanding of what's not being quite right. I've learned more from people having a no than from getting a job because you don't
yeah.
get the same sort of feedback. And then sort of translating that in my own language to a technical candidate is where I've really learned what people want and how Microsoft
For sure.
partners work.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it would be really nice to hear about the employment edge since we're speaking about it and kind of why obviously we had that conversation, we decided to put it together, but why do you think it's a good idea for people to come into the employment edge and of course take those modules on that we've created, engage in the community that we've built, and obviously get the results that they're looking for? Why do you think it's important for them to join?
I think it helps people take control. I get a lot of, people that use groups or through LinkedIn who kind of want to talk but feel a little bit lost in their search. And it can become a little bit panicked. You can feel out of control, and we've all felt like that in one way or another. Um, and often the thing to do is step back. Am I doing the right thing? Am I checking against the things that I should be doing? And so, I do the one-to-one coaching side of things. That can be expensive if you're going to keep coming back at each point of a job search, and it's not affordable for everybody. So this is um it's self-paced course. You can come back to modules as and when you need to. You can go, okay, I'm going to go and do my LinkedIn now. I'm going to go back and see what Sarah says. Or my interview point, okay, how do I really prepare well for this interview? You've got that platform to go back and rewatch the video. And in addition to the video content is the community side of things. So, with my kind of recruitment, bossy recruiter telling you how to get yourself sorted, on a call every month, there's also you that's involved. And I think with that marriage of the technical understanding from your perspective and then my recruitment knowledge, I think it can really help make a difference in people's journey, looking at their career strategy. And that's
I
the bit I'm
really think
really
so.
excited about. I think the content's there. You can come and hear me talk about it at community events, but it's there. It's there to revisit. It'll help you stay in control. And then there's this community of people that are like-minded. You can share your wins, what's worked for you. How did you get that job? Or, and asking questions within a community forum, I think would be valuable too.
I definitely think so. And the community is so important because something I found is a lot of people have technical questions, but a lot of people have more career orientated questions. Some are more willing to ask than others. And of course, there's also functionality within Merit, of course, for you to go in there and ask your questions and get them answered from myself and Sarah, which I'm super excited of. Those monthly calls are going to be really nice as well because we actually get to meet the people that we're talking to, and again, it's very low ticket, so it's affordable, and you have that service available to you. If you think of us like people that will help you with your career strategy, a small investment up front can really set you up for the months and years to come. So we're super excited about that. Sarah, I want to speak because the title and thumbnail is going to be around this, so people are going to have this question. What are the types of salaries you've seen in the Power Platform space? What are people to expect within the next few years and within 2026? What have you seen out there?
Oh, do you know, it varies massively, and the partners sort of want different things, right? So generally speaking, oh gosh, okay, so mid-level developer would probably be around 50K, 55 up to 65. As a functional consultant or developer, you kind of get into towards the senior end there. Um, Solution architects, anywhere between like 85 and 100, maybe slightly over 100 in the perm market. Contracting, it's probably on a par now. You used to be able to make a lot more money contracting. I don't necessarily think that's the case now. You just don't really get the holidays, benefits, and things like that as well. Um, and then freelancing, and one of the reasons that I've gone freelancing is having a bit of control over that cap on what you can earn. And so some people would choose to do that too, which is another conversation for another time maybe about that goals. But yeah, I'd say from a permanent point of view, if you're going up to a senior solution architect, you're probably getting up high 90s or hundreds. Some companies will go over and above that. Um, there was a big boom a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Salaries in the Power Platform space went way over what, and it surprised me because when you look at the pro code world and more traditional tech, salaries are higher here, and they shot up quite quickly, and they sort of stayed around there. One thing that I would say to be careful of, we've all got lots of friends in the Power Platform space. We all talk online. I've got friends around the world that I would consider very close friends. Um, and that's great. I love that. I really do love that about our community. But the other thing is that you can get that advice from your friends, people telling you what you should be on. And then I would get people coming to me telling me what they should be on. And I'm like, well, based on what? And the answer is, well, that's just what I should be on. And I don't really know how to deal with that because I might know something different.
Yeah.
So just be careful. The people are there to support. There's lots of mentors out there, which is great. I love that aspect of the community. But just sense check what salary you're expecting against the skill set that you've got.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that you put that disclaimer as well, because I think it's important. You have to have evidence if you're going to earn the six figures, if you're going to earn those high amounts, you have to have justification on why, because you're going to have a lot of competition. So I think it's a good point. And I think people are going to have that question. I think from my perspective, before coming into the space, I didn't know it was real. It's like I went on LinkedIn, I checked a little bit, I saw people were doing it. I saw Shane Young and Reza Durrani and all of these content creators making YouTube videos. I was like, okay, I think this is it. But I think it always helps the people to hear exactly how much you could be making and what people have seen. Um, Sarah, I always say that within any sort of tech space, especially the Power Platform, there's three main elements that you need to focus on to have success in your career. And I always say it's skills, exposure, and authority. Now, I feel like we've covered skills and even a little bit of exposure and authority, but if we could boil it down to exposure and authority, how can people in the Power Platform space level those up to make sure they're being seen and make sure that they're being trusted by partners?
I think keeping an eye on quality. You and I have had this conversation a couple of times, and I know it's kind of pivoted a little bit in opinion, but for me, I think seeing decent content, the sort of content that matches your personality. Not everyone, I couldn't blog, haven't got the attention span for it, but doing this kind of thing, I'll chat away, but trying to make sure that what your message is consistent or fair or balanced, not trying to be too outrageous. That's fine for certain people, but if you're looking to go and work for a company as a permanent person, you maybe want to be uh, don't challenge Microsoft for the sake of it, if you know what I mean. Just to be a little bit
Yeah.
out. I think deliver quality, deliver messages on business value is a huge message that I go on about all the time. There's a lot of makers out there making demos, making sessions that show their peers what they can do. And that's great if you're doing it for the fun of it. You're doing it to try and enhance your career, whether that be permanent or freelance. Where's the business value? You know, what did the business gain from you doing that? Because they're the people with the money in the business when you go to an
Mm,
interview, and someone really can see that you're talking commercially about, again, saving hours, increasing scalability, that sort of thing is going to speak to the senior people in the business. And that mindset is also a really good thing to have if you're trying to get up to that higher end of solution architect salary. We're talking about the 95 plus. You need to have that commercial language about you and be able to speak business language as well. So I think getting into the habit of understanding what your value is and why to the business, not just I'm the best techie in the room, why, and speaking that way, that will help you with having authority because you know what your value is in real terms. Um, and using that in your content, showing people how to fix problems and why you would bother fixing that problem, I think is a really good look for anybody viewing your profile and keeping yourself relevant. There's lots of other content creators out there, so I think engaging with those sorts of people as well, following the people that you're interested in. You might have a different experience, a different way of describing what you've done before. So don't worry if there's somebody already talking about model-driven apps, like, oh, I can't do it, Hadan's doing it. It's fine. Tell your own story, do it in your own way, and keep it consistent rather than every day, once a month, once a fortnight. Will help you with visibility. The other tip I always would say is commenting, engaging with people that you do follow, give them some nice feedback. It's something that can quite quickly build out your network as well.
for sure, for sure. And then when you go to the events, I would also say is an awesome tip when you can actually go meet people, right? Because when you do go to those events, if you've been doing the commenting and the content, people will be like, oh, I know that guy. And then it's more friendly, right? And it's nicer rather than you just feeling like a bit of an outsider when you go to these events. So it's a really nice entry point. And I love what you said about consistency. I think it's so important. I always tell the people in my program as well, just make sure you're consistent with what you're doing. Um, Sarah, some people are going to click the link in the description. They're going to go to the program page. Some of them are going to buy. How can they get the most out of this program that we've built together?
Good question. Um, Listening, I would always recommend listen. There's a little exercise at the end of each module, so kind of do that. Um, be honest with yourself about what it is you want. A lot of this, the most important part of this course for me is about how to find your why, what's your motivation, what you're doing this for, what do and don't you want. That's really important, and I think that's the point that people miss. So be honest with yourself about that. Don't be a people pleaser. Be honest. I've again, I come up with this from asking people in the past, like, what is it you're looking for? Oh, I just want a salary increase. And then, yeah, but what else? What else? And it takes a bit of digging, and then you always get to something else. There's always something else. So, don't try and please, you're doing this on, your own. You can come talk to us about how you dig deeper into that, finding your why. But it's really important to know what you want. And again, from that same, the kind of referral thing, you go to events, which are great. I mean, can't I can't tell you enough how much I love going to the user groups and the national events. Um, but at those events, there's people in the expo that are trying to recruit you into a job. They're not interested in your why. They're not interested in your non-negotiables or your family situation or your plan for the next 2 to 5 years. If you don't know what that is, you're going to be easily led and influenced into your next job by somebody else getting you excited by something you've not quite worked out yet. So bringing it back to you, what you need, what you want, will build your kind of your values to stick to and your guide to come back to if you're not sure about something.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think we have an internal compass as individuals, and I really like the way when we spec'd out the module, that was a main part that you wanted to cover. It was the why, you don't want your ladder leaning against the wrong wall. You can waste years, you can waste time, you can be stressed. And I really think that the
You know,
program, yeah,
that there's such a platform for us, isn't there? We can go and speak at an event, or we can go and be complimented by other people at an event, and everybody likes that. Who doesn't like someone telling you that you're great and come and work with us? You'd be a great fit for our team. There's no reason for you to not believe that's true, and it might be true. But if you've just got that little core that goes, okay, does this match? Does this work against the things that I've set out that I want? That's makes your decisions a lot easier. It makes it a lot calmer to go through this process. And if it doesn't align, you just know to say no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fit with what I want. Um, but equally, you could go, oh yeah, okay, this ticks all of those boxes. Right, let's move on to the next stage. What do I do next?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Could you speak to some people at home who might not understand what you're speaking about when we speak about these events and then these recruiters that might come and have these conversations with you? How do you approach these conversations? Someone's gonna probably take a coffee with you and understand kind of what you want. Do you just tell them right off the bat, I only work remote, this is my salary, blah 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 blah, or do you have to kind of get there? Like how does that work?
So I'm not speaking about recruiters here. Recruiters will be at events, of course, and you can be very honest. You should be honest with the recruiters because they might have multiple opportunities that would be right for you. So if you were to walk through your honest, this roadmap that you want, a good recruiter will listen and find the right role for you based on that information. I'm talking about business leaders and solution architects and directors of organizations that are sponsoring events that are in the expo that are there to pick out people that are at the event that they can maybe hire to save paying recruiters. So there's that
I
side.
see.
So
Right.
and again, usually great people, but not done that part of the screening process that a recruiter would have done to suss out, does this match? Is it okay? What happens if I put this person into the role and the support that they need isn't there, or you know, whatever that thing might be that doesn't match, it won't come out at that stage, or it's less likely to come out at that stage. It'll come out further down the line. So you doing it for yourself, taking that recruiter's bit to look after you if they're a good one. Um, you get less of that, I think, if you've been approached in an expo and be hated by loads of Microsoft partners for saying that. But I mean, and I'm not saying don't go with it. I'm not saying don't go with those people. Don't go and apply. I'm saying know your values first.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that advice. And I think a lot of people do need to hear it. Um, okay, awesome. I mean, Sarah, if people come through the program and they want to see you more, they want to speak to you more deeply about their difficulties in their careers or trying to take it to the next level with a promotion or with a new role or a new position, how can they get more time with you is what I'm asking.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the simple thing is to go to my LinkedIn page and you can just book the appointment through there. There's a link for Calendly to do that. I am present at events. We've got the AI user group based in Manchester. That's every 3 months. I'm at those events, happy to talk to people face to face there. And we also the UK Dynamics 365 and Power Platform user group all day session is the next day in Manchester in March. And they're also, I think every 3 months they do alternate London, Manchester. I usually go to those events, so you can get me face to face at those things, and then that's going
Awesome.
to be a cheaper way of doing
Okay.
it.
Amazing, amazing. And Sarah's being very modest here by not promoting her coaching services, so I'm going to do it for her. Sarah, is that okay if I can? Yeah, if I have a few seconds. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so Sarah does have coaching services as well, so you can get one-to-one time with her too. Again, highly recommend it because as someone who experienced these services, it really did start me off in my career, and I think it can start you off or allow you to grow and progress within your career no matter where you are, whether you're a mid-level developer or a consultant and you want to progress to solution architect, or someone just getting started and wants to make that career transition. Sarah's got all of the tools in her arsenal to help you get there. So yeah, Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. And for anyone interested in our program, The Employment Edge is out now, and the link is in the top of the description. So go and take a look. And if you have any questions, myself and Sarah are open on LinkedIn, and those will also be linked in the description. But yeah, I guess we'll leave it there. Sarah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
My pleasure. Yeah, take it easy. See you. Bye bye.